Get out the insurance cards, get out the co-pays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
So let's get to it.
Bring the pain!
What's up, everybody? This is Heat Override, and I'm ready to bring the pain for you and Dr. Roto this week. Ooh, yeah. Man, we had another crazy weekend at Dr. Roto. Of course, this is a live show. So if you haven't been over to the site, get over to drroto.com, use code word baseball, and you will get 25% off of your subscription right now. This is a limited time offer, and you definitely want to get in on that. Other than that, I am ready to do another Hard Hits review. Ooh, yeah. So we had another great card yesterday. It wasn't good as the card last week, but UFC London did come through for us. And I was pretty excited. DFS wise, it was almost perfect. Almost perfect. However, betting wise, it was kind of like I was just treading my wheels in the mud. I had some knockouts, and those knockouts almost happened. Things didn't happen. I'm going to do a fight breakdown, of course, so that all of you can hear how my thoughts on how these fights or what I felt would have changed some of these fights. But to see how I did, I had another great card, 12-1 picks overall. So, of course, I'll go over my betting picks, my articles, and, of course, the DFS percentage. At the end of the show, I actually want to talk about DFS theory. With the MLB season starting real soon, and a lot of people have been doing baseball drafts or are doing baseball drafts as I'm recording this podcast live, this seems like an opportunity to talk about DFS theory, simulators, human thought, et cetera, models, everything that people use to try to get an edge on everybody else, but everybody using all of these theories, how does it actually do it? What's up, Crazy Karma? How you been, man? It's nice to see you. Of course, this is a live show, so there's going to be people talking, people jumping into chats. I mean, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on the X. If you click the weird little logo, because the whole connection with X doesn't show me like this too. And at the same time, we are on Twitch, and I have some of my Twitch fam popping in, so that's cool. It's great to see you. Throw it up. There isn't too much music in this one, but I really want to talk about DFS theory. This is why I was able to even start the Fight Club of Pain. And I was able to use my baseball model and my football model and translate it with fighters. And now I'm doing that with another sport. And that's actually tennis. It's happening right now. I've already nailed one upset, big upset, and I have another one in line. I have one going right now. It doesn't look too promising, but because they did so well in the first set, they actually have positive points. And sometimes that makes a difference in tennis. Yeah, Heat Override's talking tennis. And I have a PGA. I've been doing the LV tour as well too, and of course, with the help of the simulators, I've been throwing in some NASCAR action just to try to see what happens. Take a little bit of that extra money and win. But that's what I want to talk about at the end of the show. I want to talk about the differences. I want to talk about what I do, what I know that a lot of other people do. But as we know, Dr. Roto would not have put me under his network, on his network, that is, if he didn't see something unique in me. And that, for me, I will always be thankful and grateful to Dr. Roto. He's given me a chance to be part of all of this with all of you. Pain bringers, wherever place, whatever you may be watching this, I say thank you. But the fact that, different DFS theories work for some slates, but I've been able to translate what I do into tennis now. And now I'm sitting there in tennis giving out winning lineups without a simulator. So now I decided to see where the simulator sits with my lineup. Right now, the simulator is around 50% or something like that in the middle of the field. And my lineup is in the top 5. So if I'm doing something good, if I'm doing something right, it's something I want to give all of you. And you can unfortunately only get that behind the paywall at Dr. Roto. So that's why you want to get there and use code word baseball, so you can get 25% off of your subscription. So, of course, if you have a question or if you have a draft right now about a MLB baseball draft right now, ask me. I've done 3 best ball drafts. I want to probably do one more to see how this works. I did one last year, had a lot of injuries. So and I do play that on the DraftKings app. or format, whatever you want to say and call it. So that being said, let's get to it. Let's get to the review of yesterday, UFC London. Of course, Melissa Mullins versus Lana Carolina was canceled. I mean, you didn't have to cry that much, Melissa, did you? Like, you didn't have to cry, okay? Like, just go get another fight. Just call out. Say, hey, I got to get another fight. Was you just having that kind of a day and you were just like so emotionally just distraught after that? Hey, I don't know what was going through you. You broke down. I would have been sad too, but I mean, it was funny. I just went, well, it's not funny, but we just had two of our fighters lose their fights for this weekend as well, too. The one guy came in 15 pounds overweight. Yes, 15 pounds, people. And that's insane. So, okay, we'll get to that. And then, you know who would win that? I'll just say Chimev. Chimev would run through Ank. Ank's got nothing. Chimev's a monster. It's a different beast. Being a beast myself, a point fighter myself, you got to be active. That's what we didn't see in the MVP fight. We'll get to it. Chanel Dyer, though, had some unders on that. She nailed it, got the knockout. Oliveira was just getting rushed. Oliveira, though, did start out very strong with her blitz. And it was just like once Dyer got her timing down, it was over from there. Boom. Shamrock put out a crazy fight against Salwati, and Salwati won. I picked Salwati. I'm 2-0 at this point. But man, Shamrock, you got to do something about yourself. Get yourself together. Then we come out to what we thought was going to be a straight knockout. Of course, this is out of line. This is the way I wrote it down. Mario Pinto versus Filippo Franco. And you go to distance. Literally, you go the distance, Pinto. You killed like one of my parlays, whatever. I ain't going to hold nothing against you. Because who I do want to hold something against, and that's Mr. Vicious gassing out when he could have knocked out Antonio Tricoli in that second round. And what was the ref? Okay, so if none of you watched this fight, go watch the fight. The ref is literally like, defend yourself, right? To Tricoli. And he's just getting his head popped in. And he's not doing anything. The ref doesn't even step in. He asks him again, do something. So he goes to do something. He just lays on the ground. He's still getting his head pounded into the mat at this point. No, nothing's happening. And he's like, hey, you got to defend yourself. You got to defend yourself. And I'm like, yo, okay, here's my problem. You've said that more times than not. Maybe you should just stop the fight and let all of us bettors get our under props hit and our second round knockouts hit, right? Because, I mean, it was really annoying to watch that fight go down. However, I did pick him to win. Good job, Condra. You got to come with something a little better than that. And you can't tire. If you don't, do 100 punches. Do that at least every day, 3 times a week, at least Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever your striking days are or your leg days to offset that. You can get that working on your striking days. Yes, I am a fighter, and I will tell you how to get punch stamina. Do that, Condra, because you definitely need it. If I would have been in that position, and I will tell you, if I was in that position, I would have finished that man. Because I know I have enough stamina in my punches to finish a man. It's the way it is. However you want to make that. Man, I'm happy Dan isn't here. Louis Sutherland versus Brando Perisic. Of course, Perisic got it done. Knockout. Bang. That was such a firefight, too. I mean, Sutherland he's just nothing. It was just crazy. When I seen the size difference between the two, I was like, oh, this is not going to work out well for them. Now, let's get over to one of the underdogs I had, which was Nathaniel Wood. Why I picked Nathaniel Wood? Because he beat my boy Jose Delgado, the guy I was talking about so much last week, right? I picked him. Dan picked Wood against Delgado when they fought, and I learned my lesson. That's why my money was on Wood, and that is why he was a DFS recommendation at Dr. Roto through the Fight Club of Pain live last week at 7 p.m. That being said, picked him. Mason Jones, fight of the night. Bloody as heck. How is Axel Sola face holding on with a gash so big? I was waiting for the stoppage. I was looking for a stoppage. There was multiple times that Mason Jones himself actually ate a punch from Sola, and Sola hung in there. He took a clinic beating. That match was awesome, and it was great that Mason Jones was in 75% of my DFS lineups. Thank you. Thank you. Then we're going to get to my first loss of the night. Yes, he broke my parlay. This is my loss of the night. It was Curtis Campbell, the pink you don't even get to get called the Pink Panther. You're the Pink Slipper because Danny Silva stepped on your ass, right? At the same time, Danny Silva also showed everybody that his boxing and his takedown defense is legit. Yes, Campbell came out there and did manhandle Silva when he needed to, but he didn't finish him. And he couldn't get that finish on when he tried to submit him. And then he came out and tried to box with a boxer. And guess what happened? He got knocked out. Now we've seen this work out for Oliveira against Holloway. Unfortunately, in this fight, because Campbell is so new that, being his first fight in the UFC, he was just taken to town by a fighter that has got a little more seasoned time than him and is actually a pretty good fighter himself. So that being said, let's move it along. Christian Leroy Duncan versus Roman Dolidze. Look, Dolidze smashed the takedown props that we had. I was laughing when I saw his takedown props. I was like, he's gonna get a hold of him because I know CLD is gonna try to do those kicks. He's not gonna back down, and this is what we had. It was a great fight, and I gotta say this. I really do feel everybody thought that CLD was gonna win that fight. Well, at one point during that fight, Dolidze was a plus 1,500 to win, and he was manhandling him at that point. So I just threw in like $1. It lost, but at the same time, it was worth a shot because if he got a hold of him in that third round, I could have seen them go Dolidze. This happened in the main event. This same scenario practically happened in the main event, but of course, the person that won the main event is the guy that won it. We've seen that situation go two ways. All right. Of course, I picked CLD. Next one. Ivo Baranowski in the soup can of the week was Austin Lane. Dan nailed it again. Only 2 losses and over a year of recommending the soup can of the week. But 28 seconds. Look, I played under a minute. I played under 2 minutes. I played as much. I played in the distance action and everything like that. And a lot of it was, of course, negative. I couldn't recommend him because he was just a negative. His negative odds were so big. It just didn't really help any of the parlays. So anyway, I was able to return on the first win in the first minute. I was able to win in the first 30 seconds. I should have put more money on that. I didn't think that. I thought that Austin Lane could dance for more than 20 seconds. And of course, I was completely wrong about that. And what ended up happening is the 28-second knockout. So unfortunately, I only put down a quarter of a unit on that. But I was able to return a decent amount of money. That was one of my bigger wins of the night. That practically everything kind of wrapped up. Next fight, the most boring fight in the world, Michael Venom Page versus Sam Patterson. Now, Dan and I talked about this fight. We both picked MVP distance. Well, I wanted knockout and distance. What ended up happening is that Sam Patterson literally did not want to attack MVP at all. He hardly initiated anything at all. He was so scared of MVP's karate style, he forgot that he could grab. And guess what? He actually clinched him. He did well. But in this poor fight, where hardly anybody threw any punches, which was great on the DFS side because a lot of people had MVP. But with that being said, and Patterson, not me, I only had Patterson, I think, in one lineup. But at the same time, when you rewind that back and you start thinking about it, you're like, that fight was poor. Everybody's talking about it. Nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room, but I will. As a point fighter, I can't believe that MVP put out that poor of a point of volume. Like, as a point fighter, I'm anywhere from 11 to 13 strikes per minute. And those are significant. I actually hit my opponent. I'm not scared about actually initiating contact because I don't have to worry about my opponent taking me down, which Patterson could have done and exploited. It seemed like that, but they literally danced. Whatever. We picked it right. MVP. Bang. Luke Riley could have knocked out Michael Aswell Jr. multiple times, but Michael Aswell Jr.'s jaw is made of granite. He clocked him so much across the face with multiple hooks and combos. I couldn't believe it, but man, Luke Riley looked so good in that fight. And Aswell, too. as well as volume alone on the DFS slates allowed him to be a hedge that people could use and go to. But I mean, there were some other ones, Dyer being one of them, was one of the biggest hedges, of course. Then, of course, we get to the main event now. We got Evloev versus Murphy. Murphy, okay, so everybody says there's no way Evloev had 4 rounds. I actually had Murphy up on that card. I felt that Murphy won 1 and 2 and 4. I thought he won 4. 3 was kind of back and forth for me. I guess 4 would have been 2 because Evloev did get a lot of takedowns. He took in that round as well too. And they weren't like they were convincing, but in the end, you do see him dominating Murphy. Now, Murphy has come out and said that he had a hip problem and that his hip wasn't 100%. Unfortunately, that does suck. But at the same time, he still hung in that fight. And you could kind of see something was bothering him because he wasn't able to move the way he was able to move the rest of that fight. So that for me goes it a little bit. Things happen in a fight. You got to fight through them. And he wasn't able to get the win. He's already calling it out that Evloev needs to get that shot against Volkanovski. Of course, right now, a lot of people are looking at Gene Silva. I do agree with Murphy, though. I think Evloev should get the next shot. It only makes sense. I definitely want to see that go down. But I do love my fighting nerd. I do love Silva. Silva's going to be like, I hope he gets a shot at some point. Maybe he waits for this, or maybe he has to have another fight before this fight happens. And if that win would say definitely that he should get the shot of the winner of Evloev versus Volkanovski. All right, so that was the card, 12-1 overall. Both Dan and I went 3-0 on the Fight Club of Pain. Again, money line bets. Let's go to the money line bets. I went 4-1 on my money line. That loss being Campbell. I decided to sway. I swayed on my next money line bet, which was 3-2. Still returned money on the round robins on all of these. This is why I round robin, people. Unfortunately, I went a little too aggressive on the Five-tastic Picks article, and I decided to put together a crazy knockout where I had knockouts for, of course, I had it for the Pinto fight. I had the knockout, and then I had the Mason Jones in there for a knockout as well, too, an MVP. So that just didn't happen. No, the Luke Riley as well, too. So those kind of plays didn't work out for me. However, the parlay of pain itself went 2-3, and there was a lot of positives. I was able to return 30% of my investment into the parlay of pain, which is why I say hedge, people. However, and this is why you hedge with DFS. If you play DFS or you don't play DFS, we have simulators for that, and we have me talking all about that. You definitely want it. On FanDuel, I went 3-1 overall. On DraftKings, I went 5-1 overall. I was 7th place in one of the contests. So that was my best. I was 575. 625 was the most points in that contest. It was a single entry. So that was, whether it be a single entry or not entry, whatever it be, all of my lineups practically returned more money than I invested. I was able to pull money out and go from there. And that's what I try to do. And that's what I say. Build your bankroll, keep your limits, and pull out what you can, or keep it in there and play maybe more. But try to always stay to a limit. Limit yourselves, because you could have a bad week. The bets were crazy fire last week. In DFS, it didn't work out for me. I told all of you, because I didn't get that knockdown on the FanDuel site, I came up short, 18 points, 12 points in most contests. But on DraftKings, I was able to get that. So that being said, I went to this week and boom, DFS returns. I was able to take the chances on the betting side at a plus 13,000. That was close to hitting. I ended up hitting half of it. So, and because I didn't round robin it, no, I actually did round robin that. I did round robin it. I was able to return 60% because all of it was like plus 260. So that bet alone was just something I had personally. I did have it in the subs only Discord at Dr. Roto or in the Fight Club of Pain. Because usually the Fight Club of Pain I give all my bets to anyway. Because that's my team. That's my main team that helps us do all this. That's our fight theory. So, of course, that being said, let's get over to some of the DFS percentages and then we'll get to some DFS theory and talk. Al-Zawadi, 15%. Condra, 43%. Dyer, 7%. Perisic, 36%. Wood, 27%. Not bad on a DFS slate. Patterson, 27%. Pinto, 24%. Jones, 36%. Silva. Danny Silva was a big play for me, especially on the captain slates. I made him my captain. 23%. Murphy, 31%. Nobody else is really. It was kind of one of those things. But what was really nice was I was able to get that fade with Wood. On the DFS people, the lineup I mentioned was Condra, Iwu, Baranowski, Murphy, Wood, Patterson, and Jones. Patterson did not put out the effort I thought he would. I recommended Condra, Baranowski, and Wood on my DFS rankings. And then, of course, my fourth one was Murphy. So there was my 4 DFS plays that I gave out free on the Fight Club of Pain. You get that every week at drroto.com. By the way, make sure you like and follow our YouTube as well, too. Dr. Roto on the X, YouTube, Facebook, like, share, follow. Hit that, click it. People talk to us. Leave a comment. I already answered Nico's comment about Magomed Ankalaev versus Khamzat Chimaev at 205. Who would win? I said it's Chimaev. Chimaev is a different beast. There's just people that are soft but really great fighters, and there's really good fighters that are just hardcore and sometimes can beat fighters that are soft. And that's what you saw with Evloev. He was able to capitalize against Murphy's smooth, slick boxing, which has won that fight for Mosvar. That being said, let's get to it. Also, make sure if you weren't here at the beginning of the podcast, use code word baseball at drroto.com and you will get 25% off your subscription. This is huge. Also, DFS Hero. If you use code word doc, you will get 20% off that site as well, too. They're a great partner. Talking with them, Tom, he's a great guy. I love it. It was funny the one time he popped into my Fight Club channel and he started talking about UFC. And I said, the simulator's good, but I had some critiquing because this is what we're going to talk about next, which is DFS theory. So make sure if you join the board right now. I mean, you're getting, with that percentage off, you're getting the baseball content, Lou Landers, everybody putting it down, Trevor Hillstrom, Mr. 500K every year in football if he's not winning more than that. Dr. Roto, me, you get everybody. I put lineups in, bets. I'm a madman in the subs only Discord with all sports. We'll talk about that a little too, because that's what I want to talk about. DFS theory. What's better, simulators or human? Does the human thought, can we outthink the computers? Can computers simulate hot streaks? I don't think so. And I think that that's what makes the human mind unique in a lot of ways. Now, everybody has their methods and their models, right? And because of that, that's built in with their opinions. My scoring methods or my ideals may be built differently than everybody else's. I do build mine more towards what I like to see. So if you say, let's go with my IDP stuff. So when people usually scout rookies and try to predict what they will do in their season one, if given an opportunity to start like Jared Verse did 2 years ago in his rookie season, then what I use is I look at their college career, I take an average. I take that average, I multiply it over an NFL season, of course, an extra couple of games, and then, of course, I divide out a certain percentage for just because it's a rookie schemes, if the scheme works. So each percentage I apply. Once I get that percentage, that is how I'm able to do my IDP rankings at drroto.com. And so for me, sometimes my rankings may be off. I might credit stacks or pressures where somebody else may not. But that's what makes this world great, is that everybody has an opinion. And sometimes this opinion may not fit you better like this opinion. So I must have said this 1,000 times. Find your DFS Santa, right? Find that person. Find the person that you think you mold the best with. I mold extremely well with Doc. Doc was one of my first guys. Of course, I talked to Lenny Melnick back in the day. And of course, it's so many more. Ray Flowers, the list goes on, Jeff, everybody. But Doc was one of the kind of guys that kind of went out and makes these crazy calls. And of course, Tommy. But Doc does this crazy methodical way to it. He likes to find these guys, takes these edges, and that's what I do. And that's what I use for all of my models in every sport. So football and baseball have been very profitable for many years, both on the seasonal level and on the DFS level. Now, I'm not a big play guy. I don't go into the $100 contest. I don't really need to. I stick down to the 10, 5s, $1, $7, 25 cents. That's about where I stick. If there's a cool $15 contest and I'm feeling froggy, I'll jump on it. When DraftKings threw up, hey, we'll take $15 off if you enter this $25 contest, boom, jumped on it, returned double my money. Well, and I didn't have, it was really more than double my money because I got a percentage off to enter that contest. And sometimes that's why you use promos. Some people like to use the promos, some people don't. I do if it makes sense, right? And I mean, dollars make sense, cents make dollars. So we're not trying to do rocket scientists. You don't need a simulator to do that. You can use your good old head to calculate that stuff, people. So that being said, I like to feel that hot streaks do exist. So recently, of course, because we have a simulator at Dr. Roto with our partnership with DFS Hero, I'm able to go in and put a simulated lineup into the NASCAR race today. Also, that lineup I played last week, and then I changed it a couple of ways that I would have did it. Both lineups scored. I actually came up 1 point less than the actual simulated lineup, which was fine, but I still hedged, right? And it showed that I did that more so on myself than that, because with racers, I'm kind of that guy where I look at, of course, the last 5 races like most people do. My method, this is my method, and I will let this out today. I will, because this isn't rocket scientist again, but this is what I do. I like to look at a sample. Of course, you could be like batter versus pitcher. I need a large sample. I need to go back. I need at least 5 games, 5 fights, 5 matches, whatever it wants to be. It'll make sense when I start talking about ATP Miami. And that's what I use. So when I took this to baseball and football, it commonly made sense that, with baseball, you have a batter versus pitcher where somebody's seeing 80 pitches by this pitcher and they have somewhere around like a 400 batting average. Their OBS is crazy at like 900 or something like that. And then you see like 5 home runs, 28 RBIs, that this guy's at least a lock for an RBI, at least a hit. So you're going to parlay that, or you're going to take that, you're going to put that as parlay. Last year with my 5tastic picks article at Dr. Roto on the weekend for the MLB, I started just doing parlays, and that kind of translated into football season with a lot of the stuff that I learned about from the round robining on the UFC side. See how all sports, and why I always say it's more than just being our rich friend. We have the right cure for all of your fantasy needs at Dr. Roto. So that being said, when I combined all of these factors together, it's what makes the recipe that allows me to be consistent in any DFS sport. It doesn't mean that I'm better than anybody. Mostly I'm better than most people, of course, because my methods I've been using these methods for over a decade, and I've been in it from day one. I've made calls, I've taken chances, I've lost some, and I've won many. And that's why I call myself sometimes the bridesmaid of DFS, because I finished in 7th place, just like I did yesterday last night for the 1-day golf. That happens but what I always try to preach, and what we always preach at Dr. Roto, is that it's build your success, build on it. Hey, you put in $3, you had a chance, you were maybe in first place for a second, you ended up returning $9. Now you have $9 to push forward. Now you have $15. Now you have $25, $30, and you just build. And with that money, like I said, with the UFC, you put that. So I was able to use both, learn the round robining, how to use that, able to help Ed with that, which led to a 5-digit win on division winners with one of his first round robins that allowed Ed, the fantasy clown at Dr. Roto, to see how the round robin goes bonkers at times. And he fell in love with it. That being said, that's what that system used it. So me moving over to the DFS side of things, when I moved over to that, it's a no-brainer. I look at all of my matches. I use the same kind of method and I go through it, right? At the same time, I look at points. Now, this is where it's kind of led. I look at all this information with the PGA tours and, of course, the LV tours. And then, of course, basketball is kind of up in the air. You really have to pay attention to the rotations. So for me, between getting back to work and then eventually martial arts in the future, because I want to get back to competing. I want to get back to kumite, which is point fighting, and using my skill to be the best at what we do in my division. And I proved that last year and proved it for many years with my record and my trophies, and just being able to apply the science that the school does. And it's produced a lot of wins for me, my team, my daughter, everybody over the years, many years, well before I even got into it. So that being said, I was able to move this to tennis now. Now, I'm not saying I'm a tennis pro, and I'm not saying that I'm the best in the world at tennis. But if you've been watching a lot of the screenshots I've been doing, I've been able to nail a lot of the short slates easily and get some positive money. Of course, a lot of the tennis stuff on DK doesn't have a lot of big. So you're going to throw down maybe $1, and the contest top could be $20, $30, $40, maybe 50 or 100, depending on how big it is. But then that means if it's bigger up there, it's harder to place. They have a lot of double ups and triple ups. That seems to be where I'm going and winning, and that's where I'm winning at. So, of course, I'm going to try to double up through the week. We just got ATP Miami just started. And now this is where I take this theory. So I take what I do with baseball, somewhat like batter versus pitcher. I move that and I look at what I have sample size. What is this? Has this tennis player played this other tennis player before? Yes, no. Boom, pops up. I see what they do in the past. Now, let me go back over my last few weeks. How has this player performed? Were they cold and they had a hot day? If they just got hot one time, which I've noticed, get a few 19, 20-point games, that means you lose and you don't get much action during your set, then you're going to have those scores. But then you get a 75. Now, for me, I don't like that. I like it in average. If we're going to play a cash game, I'm a cash game guy, of course, with GPP aspirations. At the same time, if we're going to take that lineup, we're going to play somebody that maybe he was playing that could win. And that happened today. That happened today for Ostapenko. And it's funny I could say that. The 25th ranked tennis player playing in there, he was able to beat the 7th ranked Paolini. He won me 69 points. He lost the first match. He won the second one 6-2, and then won the last one 7-5. But in his sets, he went 5 wins, 6 wins, and 7 wins for that game match, including the aces and everything else. I'm looking at aces. I'm looking at what these people are winning and losing. If I see that you're scoring 60s, but you're winning, but somehow you're only winning 12, but you're losing 13 sets, it means that you're just literally getting by with the skin of your teeth sometimes. And sometimes you face somebody that's streaking. And we just saw last tournament where one of the big favorites fell. I think that was Skinner. Was it Skinner? Anyway, no, I think it was the other guy, not Sakabalenka. But anyway, of course, I'm new at this. I'm only looking at the numbers, and I say that to all of you. I say that in my subs only Discord. But when I'm seeing this much opportunity to win cash at a sport that a lot of people aren't hitting, a lot of smarts. I mean, today I felt confident enough to go head to head with whoever in a draft, in a best ball draft for tennis. And I'm hoping my team does good. Right? But at the same time, I noticed either a sub from Roto Grinders or somebody from Roto Grinders was in that. Now, if I'm going head to head in a 3-man draft, snake draft, with a simulated lineup or simulator or somebody using a simulator, when it's just me, then I know I'm doing it right if I beat them, come close to them, or do what I have to do. And believe me, I can tell the simulated lineups when I'm winning, right? And that's what allows me the edge to beat people. But Ostapenko was 11% owned, which is crazy on a tennis slate. So for me, I took that chance with him. Now, I did lose with Echeverry. No, I actually won with Echeverry. He was losing. And I do have Jadar in my short slate because I kind of went with Jadar at that point, but I was able to hedge. So I built my short slate. I took a chance on that. And then on my main slate, I had Echeverry. So right now, I have 3 wins. Or actually, that match went final. I have 3 wins right now with Pegula, Ostapenko, and Echeverry. So I still have Vashrot, I have Sabalenka, and I have Zhang. And Zhang is my dude. Chick, woman, whatever. Qinwen Zhang is my edge. Along with Qinwen Zhang and Ostapenko at 11%, Qinwen is 8% owned on this slate. Everything I just explained to you is the theory that goes into everything we do at drroto.com, especially my theory, especially on Bring the Pain, especially on the Fight Club of Pain and Ultra Contrarian show. I never go into a slate empty-handed, and I never go into a slate not fully prepared. The fact that I'm able to use the same models, the same theory, the same ideals that I use to help dominate the UFC and able to translate it into a great winning percentage on the DFS slates for tennis only shows that my methods work. And those methods, again, today, I have a simulated lineup versus my lineup. My lineup is up 3-0 right now. So that is the fact I'm trying to see. And the reason why I know this is because I already know Sabalenka. I know who some of these people are that are playing some of these people because I played in the last tournament. And that's how my mind works. Not everybody's mind works that way, and not everybody has time to do all the research. That's why if you get over to Dr. Roto and use code word baseball, you'll get 25% off of your subscription, and you can be our rich friend. And that starts, it's a limited time offer. So you want to jump on it. I'm pretty sure it's going to end with the baseball season ending starting this Wednesday. Maybe Doc will extend it. That I will not know. I heard that for all of you, and I wanted to make sure I shared all that with all of you. And again, this is questions. Like, follow, share us on YouTube, comment, ask us questions. If you want to say, hey, I don't want to join yet, then attend a Fight Club of Pain, put some money down on some money lines. Let's hit some big numbers. Let's get you some money to get that subscription so that you could take advantage of all of this information and everything going into baseball season so you have a chance to win money or at least build your bankroll every day. Now, of course, there is limits to that. We can't do that. So don't be betting no hundreds, 200, 300, 400, $500,000 a day. Start little, build, play with the money you win. And we will help you. We're in the subs only Discord all the time talking. And when you don't want it, you don't have time, you go in there, you copy a lineup from me, Fuego, Steven, in the basketball section. Everybody does their part. But most of the time, it's my crazy self putting in DFS lineups, putting in MLB lineups, putting in NBA lineups, putting in NHL lineups randomly. I just put it in. If I see something, I like what I'm looking at. It's a small slate or say a showdown slate. And I know that this is what helped me during the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, with the USA men's team being able to get a lot of positive bets and turn those in. Of course, this same theory and models is what I used to find Johann Hosflot Lebo and why he became the most winning Olympic gold medalist of all time by winning 6 gold medals. I would never have known that looking at his numbers at first if I didn't do the research and seen how he performed at the World Championships prior. That's what you get when you get a service, when you become part of a service like Dr. Roto. You get all the information, you get the stances, you get more than one opinion. And the most important thing is you always remember to bring the pain. Have a great day, everybody. Check out the Fight Club this Thursday for UFC Seattle. We got Adesanya making his return against Joe I Hate You Piper. It's going to be wild. Stay tuned for more changes to the YouTube. Like, follow, share the YouTube at Dr. Roto. Let's get ready to take this baseball season over. Ooh, yeah.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. Until the next visit, be well and take care.